Okay, and as I have my Strike Eagles getting airborne in addition to some F-35s, it's time for the second wave of decoys. So let's go ahead and reselect. Let me see if I can find them. Okay, F-16s with harms, that'll be my seed flight. F-18s with harms, F-16s with multi-Js, Typhoons. Surely I have some more. Yeah, there they are. F-16s with multis. 16 remaining. Okay, let's go ahead and go Control F1. I'll send one group up to the north, one group to the center, and one group to the south, and that's going to leave 4 total remaining on this flight, but I will then be able to retask onto just straight up air-to-air since they have some AIM-120s and AIM-9Xs remaining. Okay, and then once those go in, I'll have the same setup, exact same setup I have right here. 3 and then 2 flights of jammers, and I think that'll clean me out actually on multi-Js at that point. So let's go ahead and let this play out a little bit. I will be right back. Okay, so I've got my first group of Sukhoi 27s, enemy aircraft, starting to push in. They're still about 50 miles from the border, but these guys have come over further to the east than I've seen anything else come over before, so they might be... Actually, I've got to really worry about these ECM aircraft, especially the B-52 and the C-130 that I have down here to the south, but I'm not going to move them just yet because if they come a little bit further in, I'll just go ahead and assign that, or those flights of F-22s to the OCA and take care of this. And yeah, Sukhoi 27 flanker, let me see what nationality we have here. So Soviet frontal aviation, older style model, 87 to 91 flanker Bravo. So this will look very, very familiar to anybody who is into DCS. So it's got the slot back radar, 90-mile range, and you can see that we're picking up transmissions off it right now as we speak. And also the IRST infrared search and track system with a 54-mile range. So theoretically, it could be, yeah, I guess it's getting to be about, yeah, it's 59 miles from my ECM track right now. Theoretically, it can just shut down its radar and just look for stuff out there on the infrared part of the spectrum. It probably wouldn't be able to detect anything all the way out to the theoretical limit of 54 miles, but it does have that option. And thinking about the types of weapons that we're going to be up against here, so this style of aircraft, flanker Bravo, is going to be... Let me see, well, I've got a big range ring. I'm already within range of its missiles, although I don't think they'll be able to reach out there and fire just because of all the jamming. They're up against just this big block of electromagnetic radiation right now. But it's Alamo Charlies and Alphas, and I think it's the 40-mile, or actually the 60-mile variant of the Alamo that we're up against, A-810s. Okay, they're turning back, so okay, nothing to worry about from them just yet, and I've still got my first wave heading in. Okay, so let me let this play out a little bit, and I'll be right back. And of course, before I forget it, let me go ahead and launch the jammers to follow up these multi-Js. So Control F1, I'll just put these out here in that same general area. And I had, okay, let me just try to conserve a little bit of this in case I need a little bit more later, since I'm not sure exactly what the effect of this is going to be. It may be great, it may not. So let me allocate 2 to that one, and let me go Control F1 and allocate 2 more down here, and I'll continue to let it play out. I'm just thinking about now the setup of the strike missions going in against these targets and how I'm going to manage that. Thinking also about what assets I have available and what their loadout is that we already saw earlier. So yeah, I'm just going to sit here and think and let it play out for you. I'll be right back. Okay, we've got to start being in the area that we're going to start to see some action against these decoys. But let me just take this opportunity to zoom in on this area real quick. Partly so we can watch this, and partly so I can start to build some of the strike missions. Now, I have specific targets laid out that I'm going to be building the missions for, and I'm not going to be able to take out all of this stuff. I'll try. I don't know. But I'll just start at the top and work my way down. Air Force, Army, and Air Defense HQ bunkers, and these are going to be for the B-2s and the massive ordnance penetrators. So these are very, very hardened and well defended. So let me zoom in on the area just a little bit more. And as things play out, I'm just going to select the appropriate targets and build the missions for them. So I'll do that kind of in the background here as things play out. I'll be right back. Okay, while I was building the bunker strike, I've got some missiles in the air going against the decoys. And now would be the perfect time to push some F-22s in there and let the F-22s do what they do. So let me select the first 4-ship. Let me go to Assign to Mission, OCA Gen 5. And while I've got them there, okay, now that I have the F-22 assigned, and I'm sure there's a better way to do this, but let me go to the Gen 5 WRA settings. Let me go to the AIM-120s real quick before they start to fire. And for 5th gen enemies, 50 miles, and for 4th gen enemies, 50 miles. And that's going to give the F-22s the ability to get in a little bit closer. They'll be able to do so undetected and fire from a shorter distance, increasing the probability of hit. Now, for each target, do I want them to fire 2 or 1? Just for the heck of it, I'm just going to have them, if it's a 4th gen fighter, which everything that we have on the red side is, they're just going to fire 1 AIM-120, and that'll allow us to just kind of conserve missiles. I'm not worried really about these guys being able to particularly do anything about this, so I'm just going to push them in, let them fire some missiles, pull them back a little bit, push them back in, pull them back out, and see how far we can get as we're about to get a hit on the first of our decoys. I wonder how long it's... I wonder if they're going to be able to figure this out, and I wonder how good they're going to be at just disregarding decoys. I'm not sure. We'll see. And I've got the second 4-ship of F-22s assigned. That just leaves me a 2-ship of F-22s in reserve, in addition to some F-15s, the F-16s that I just assigned, Typhoons, and yeah, there's the 2-ship of F-22s. And another 4-ship of F-15s, so we've got just so many forces here. But yeah, I want to let this play out Gen 5 only for a little bit, so let me continue to pick and choose some targets in here, and I will be right back. Okay, so they had no problem at all taking out those decoys, as one would expect, since they were just kind of flying on a set path, not evading, not putting out any countermeasures or anything. That's just fine. Hey, I haven't really looked at any of the red forces yet, and I'll have plenty of time to get to that as we go. But yeah, we've got a MiG-25 Foxbat up. We've already seen the Sukhoi 27 Flanker Bravos. I've got some Sukhoi 30 Flanker Golfs. These are... is that a Malaysian? Yeah, I think that's a Malaysian aircraft. Let me see what... yeah, it is. So that's a pretty effective aircraft. Now the air-to-air threat that I'm worried about is the AA-12. It's sort of an AIM-120 AMRAAM equivalent. Very good active radar guided missile. So yeah, the aircraft that are capable of carrying that are going to be the primary threat, and there's a good example of it right there. Got a whole bunch of Sukhoi 30s, Sukhoi 27s that we've already seen. More Sukhoi 27s. Surely I have some like MiG-29s up here somewhere. Yeah, there we go. Some MiG-29 Fulcrum Alphas. That's a Syrian type looking aircraft or type bunker. Yep, Syria Air Force, inter-service, Fulcrum Alpha, 1988. So older style of MiG-29, although let's see what kind of weapons options it has. Yeah, no AA-12s, but it can carry the Archer IR guided missile and the Alamo Alpha semi-active radar homing missile with a 45-mile range. Not really the primary threat that I'm that worried about at this point. And I've got my F-22 starting to push into the area. They're going to wait until they're 50 miles from a target. And just as a kind of a gauge here, let's see. The range ring on these guys is going to be based off of the AIM-120D. And let me see, the range is going to be 75 miles. So 50 miles will be kind of, you know, right there in that area as they continue to press in. Okay, and I just set up a mission for a strike, a dedicated strike against that primary SA-20 SAM site, SA-20 Gargoyle. System that I'm really not familiar with at all. It's obviously a very, very capable missile. If I happen to get close, it has some SA-16 man-pads, little man-portable shoulder-mounted missile types there in close to defend it, and then the SA-20 itself with a range of 80 miles. So I'll pause at some point and do a little bit more research on this, but yeah, for now let me get back into the missions and we'll see how the rest of these decoys fare. It looks like we have a lot of stuff being vectored onto this group of decoys, so yeah, I'll be right back. Okay, so as I'm building the strike against some of the headquarters buildings, this is the down here on the list of primary targets: 3rd Army, National Army Headquarters, Revolutionary Guard, Air Force, and Air Defense Sector. It looks like my second little group of decoys got taken out. That's just fine. That's what they're there for. And I've got my F-22s pushing in right now. They should be getting into, they should be just now approaching range. So these guys are in for a bit of a surprise here in just a bit. I'm going to press on with building missions, and I will be right back. And just incidentally, as I'm going in and building the missions, this is the first time I've done it this way, but I'm just to kind of expedite the process, selecting everything, building a mission based on that. And then just removing what I don't need from the list. That's really about the only way that I can do this and still kind of keep tabs on what's going on in the target area. So yeah, it's just a little trick. You know, if I were doing this and not recording it, I would probably pause and have all this stuff built beforehand and, you know, not do this at the same time the mission is unfolding. But yeah, I want to make sure that, yeah, something is going on as I'm doing this stuff. So, okay, I'm going to remove everything except for the palaces, so I will be right back. Okay, so we're looking at a big wall of missiles going in from these F-22s. And yeah, like I said, the enemy doesn't even know we're there. The missile is going to go active once it reaches the end of its little flight path, and then continue against their targets. So we'll be able to see that once it happens. But what I want to avoid is getting these F-22s too engaged. I mean, they're capable, but they're not infallible, so I can't just push them all the way in there and expect them to survive with this many enemy. You know, if we're up against, you know, 4, 6, 8, yeah, I just push them in there and, you know, let them do what they do. But I want to avoid getting in there too close, because we can overwhelm them with missiles, but on their side, if they can detect us, then they can do the same thing right back to us. The only thing that's really protecting us is that they haven't detected, to my knowledge at least. Now, there's no way that they are detecting the F-22 at this point. So they've got 9 remaining. In fact, that's about as far in as I want to push them. So let me go ahead and, well, I'm trying to right-click on the darn thing. Sometimes just random, it doesn't work. And you can see the missile right here. That AIM-120 is active, and this is really the first sign these fighters have that anything bad is happening to them. So, well, I can't right-click. So let me go up to unit orders, and I'm going to reassign it to the OCA Marshal, just to have it pull back out of the area. And I especially don't want these guys, you know, there's plenty of jamming support. Well, there's about to not be as much jamming support as there was. I don't want them to get too far in there without a whole lot of jammer support either. These guys still have 19 remaining. I'll let them push on in a little bit. These guys are still turning tail and running. These guys are pushing towards us. Yeah, I'll let this group press on in, fire one more little salvo of AIM-120s, and then pull them back as well. Okay, that's as far in as I want to push these guys. Let me go ahead and just kind of... Well, okay, there they go. They're firing some more M120s. But yeah, before they get too fully committed, let me pull them back to the Marshall point and have them just back out. In worst case, because I think a lot of these are going to be taken out by this salvo, and then I'll just have them come back in once more, following up these jammers and this other group of decoys. So there's no sense in pushing them in there and getting them into a bad situation when I still have all these decoys. You know, there's... If I play this right, yeah, these F-22s are just going to be untouchable. Or, you know, for that matter, even if I had pushed in some 4th generation aircraft, the F-15s or especially the Typhoons, with this many jamming assets, I mean, I've got a B-52, 4 F-18s, then EC-130 Compass Call, another 2 ship of F-18s down here, plus the Maldi jammers. Yeah, I think no matter what type of aircraft I would have used there, I would have been fine. And I really believe that even if I didn't have the decoy and jammer support, I would have been able to do this exact same thing with just F-22s practically unsupported at this point as well. So this group of jammers is about to get jumped by a whole bunch of aircraft, but it could be too little too late for the red side. Let me let it play out a little bit. I'll be right back. Okay, so we're getting some good results here. Let me push this group of F-22s back in. So reassign them to the OCA Gen 5 mission. Now wait just a touch on these guys. I think, well, I was thinking these missiles were going after this group of decoys. It's possible that these missiles are going against this group of F-22s. Okay, so at this point I counted just then 25 red contacts up. I have 17 A120s on this group of F-22s, 8 A120s on this group of F-22s. I'll push these guys back in. I'll let them continue to extend on these missiles. I think these missiles are going to run out of energy before they reach the F-22s. That is, if they're even guiding on them at all at this point. And then I'll push these back in, and I'm probably going to have to commit some more forces to the OCA. I still have that 2 ship of F-22s available that I can push in, and you know, worst case, I mean, even on like the EA-18s, once I push these guys in for a jammer and just for seed support with the AGM-88s, they have M120s too. Everything that I have can, with a couple of exceptions, can fight their way in. So yeah, the air threat right now, I'm worried about it, but then again, I think it's very, very manageable at this point. We had some good hits on those first salvos, and these decoys are doing the trick. So let's just see if we can get lucky on these missiles coming in on the F-22s. It's kind of surprising. Okay, so we had a resolution on that. Those were AA-12s, attacking Pulsar 3, base pH 90, adjusted for distance 47. Adjusted for speed, 48. Nominal agility, 5.5. Adjusted for proficiency, 4.4. And was that... Okay, I need to pause real quick. Let me see here. I was trying to make sense of what happened here. Adjusted for tail impact, 2.2. It had a final probability of hit of 26%. That's, I guess, not unsurprising. After all, you know, it's such a good missile. Okay, that's what I wanted to pause and look at. That hit was on a decoy. I had eyes down here at the bottom left and I didn't see what got hit. I was afraid there for a second it was an F-22. But okay, let me have you guys, since you just had your pants scared off you, let me have you turn back in and do something about that. So let's go ahead and reassign them to the 5th Gen OCA. Let them have another shot at this and throw some more missiles in there. So really we're in the same position on this wave. We're on this turn into the target as we were before, just the F-22s following up the jammers and lobbing in a great big volley of missiles. And these guys are down to 2, so, I'll let them press in, fire the rest of their missiles, and then I'll pull them back to the OCA Marshall. And I think in either case, yeah, I do want to go ahead and commit 2 more F-22s to this OCA at this point. and that should do the trick. Now, very soon after this, I'm going to start to commit my seed forces, and at least get those missiles flying in there so that my seed aircraft can also take advantage of this decoy cover. Actually, how's this going to work on timing? Is now the time? Let me think about this for a second as it continues to play out. Now might be the time.